Well, hello, friends and family. Welcome to Jim's in Town Gardening and Bella's Legacy Rabbitry. We want to welcome you here today. So, as you can tell, I'm not in the bunny barn. I don't have knotty pine out there and for walls out there. Not yet, anyways. Today is March 8th, and I am starting some of my impatient seeds. Now, these are the wave petunias. These are ones that I've saved. I had bought a few packages many years ago, and what I do is in the fall, after when they're getting ready to expire for the year, I pick the little pods. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. Pick the little pods and crumble them into an envelope with the different colors. Now, I've got 5 different colors that I've got. Now, I'm almost out of the yellow. I like to add a little bit of yellow to the baskets when I do these. So I'm going to do the best that I can. So what you want to start out with is a tray, the seed thing. Now, with my flower plants, when I start them, I do use the Miracle Grow. I don't use those for my vegetable plants. With that, I use the Jiffy. Oftentimes, what I've used is just the Pro Mix, because you don't need fertilizer for getting your plant started. But with the flowers, oftentimes that's what I use is the Miracle Grow. And the bag that I got was on sale, so that's good. So that's what I use for impatiens and pansies, the petunias. Now I grow both the wave petunias. The wave petunias are from seed that I've saved. The regular petunias are those right there, and usually I get a cheap one. These are Fairy Moors. Quite often at Walmart, you'll find the seeds. That's what I use. So, to start with, and hopefully you're going to be able to see this better. Here's my growing medium. And I just loosely fill all the trays out. Take, what you can of the sticks. Quite often there's little sticks in it from where it's been composted. Pieces of bark, little pieces of slate, stone of some sort. I just throw a bunch on top, spread it around. Now this may be a little bit early that I'm doing this in, but I'm okay with that because I will be putting my little mini greenhouse up here soon. Most of these wave petunias are going to go in hanging baskets. I may do some moss baskets. I've got 2 frames of moss baskets that I've used for quite a few years. I've got to get some more moss, and moss here is hard to find. There's a certain type that I like. And I've noticed the last few years it hasn't grown real well, so I'll have to do some riding around and see if I can find some early, because I love those moss baskets. They're big. They're probably, 24 inches across. They're a big moss basket. They're heavy. Goodness, by the time you get them filled up with the soil and you get your plants in it, oftentimes I don't water it down until I've got them hanging where I'm going to, because they're heavy. Goodness, they're heavy. So what I'm doing is just lightly packing this down, just to make sure everything's down to the bottom, because I want it to act as a wick. Draw the water. I don't top water. I do my first time, but after that I water in my trays. Oftentimes what I'll do is I'll fill the trays up about half full, and I'll do that about every other day, and it sucks it up. And what I've found is I don't get mold, fungus growing on the top of the soil. When I do that, I always water from the bottom. Like I said, to water the seed in, I will spray them down with a spray bottle, and that's it. So there, that's about where I want. I'm just going to brush the excess off the top. Now, if I was outside doing this, in my little greenhouse, normally what I'll do is I'll fill it up, and then I kind of just pound the, this sounded cruel, didn't it? But I'll just kind of go like that on the table, and that brings it down to the, settles everything down to the bottom. So I'll brush the top off. But we're still winter here in Michigan. I don't know how well you can see out the window there, but we got a lot of snow. My garden has about 4 feet of snow in it. Front yard, of course, everything gets snow blowed in the front yard. 8 feet in some places, close to 10 feet in other places. So typically, it's May 1st before the last bit of snow leaves my front yard. Usually on the last day of April, I'll have a spot about this big, and by the 1st, it's all gone. So, we move this back there. Now, I've filled some trays up already. Now, because we've got nine baskets that I fill, and I fill them pretty full. I'm going to be planting a lot. So, like I said, the seed pod, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. That's what the seed pod looks like. And what you're going to get, like I told you, these are tiny, 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 tiny seeds. There have been years that I have done just a container full of dirt, let them grow up, and when they get about that tall, I separate them and go from there, but not going to do that this year. So, what's going to happen is I know, because these are small, and I'm not going to try to put one little tiny seed in, each cell. I know I'm going to have extras, but that's all right. So I don't know how well that's going to focus in on my hand. That gives you an idea of how tiny those seeds are. They are tiny. And as you get older, your hands don't work quite as well as they used to. So what I'm going to try to do is drop one little seed in each cell. Now, this one here that I'm doing is the pink. I've got it labeled as white with lavender. I've got a purple. I've got a yellow. And when I start doing the hanging baskets, what I will do is, those are probably a foot across, foot in diameter. I think I usually do about 5 or 6 plants to a basket. I crowd them, but they're beautiful. And where these are the hanging ones, they just cascade down, and it's just beautiful. Now, I am going to do a bunch of the regular petunias. They're a container variety. And those, we've got it's called the whiskey barrel. It's just a small barrel, and I have that laying on its side. And I'll have it coming out of there, and then it kind of flows down. There's quite an area that we do that with. So some years we'll do pansies there. Pansies have done a good job. You've got the variety of colors. But most of the time it's impatiens, or we've done the petunias before. So with these seeds, it's tedious. And I'm dropping a few of the old shells in it, but that's all right. Seed pods. And like I said, I know that I'm getting more than one seed in this. But there'll be a time that I'll pull them out, try to separate the plants and just repot them. I want these good size when they go into, especially the moss basket. And if it works well this spring, I will try to take you along as I do that. I enjoy doing that, and it's so pretty. You know, so if anybody does raise the wave petunias, consider doing that in the fall. You know, as soon as you see them starting to brown and before they open them up, collect those little seed pods. If I think of it next fall, I will try to do that. I'll show you how I do it. Save yourself. I know the seeds are very, very expensive. And usually when you get a package, there's only, I remember, in fact, I might have done a video on that the one year. I know there were burpees. They came in a package about that, like that, and about like that. And I'm thinking, wow, there should be a lot of seeds in here. And I think there's only 12 or 15 seeds per package. And I was surprised. Yeah. So anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pat that down. Get a good seed to soil compaction. And then what I do is just spray it down. Take a spray bottle with water. What I also will do is I will put water in the bottom of the tray, soak the water up. You know, make sure it's watered in good. So yeah, that's how I start those petunias. So I'm going to do some, like I said, I am going to go to one of the nurseries next town over. It's a small nursery, family run. And see what different varieties that I might be able to get. I know they don't usually sell seed, but they know me pretty well. They might sell me some. So I'd like to add a few more colors if I could to these baskets, and especially the moss baskets. So I will, when I get this group all done, like I said, there's 5 different colors that I'm doing. I'll bring you back. And this year, I'm going to try to, when I start different seeds, I'll try to bring you along when I do it. For me to have everything set up, sometimes it's just hard. It's hard for me. And then the editing and rendering of the video, getting it on there. But I will try this year to do that. I've got a lot of things that I want to start this year. Impatiens, the regular Impatiens are one. The regular petunias. Pansies, I've got to get started. Peppers, this year I think I'm going to do all my peppers, or most of my peppers, in the, those little pods. I get some right here. The peat pellets. I was going to start some of them today, and I thought I had some of the trays that they go in. I thought I had them right downstairs. You know, and that's another thing I want to share. I know for years and years, I bought a whole bunch of the trays and the cells. And it's getting so, they're wicked expensive, and they're so flimsy. So, you don't have to buy every year. As long as your cells are good, the trays are good, you're not leaking water. And that's something that I do battle with at times. They'll get cracked, or they don't take a lot of abuse. And what I was told, and I remember my mother and I, we both went through this same year, probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Different ones would say, yeah, wash them, put them in, bleach them. Well, we did that, and I know I rinsed them well. We used to bleach. When we wash the rabbit bottles out, you have to usually 3-time rinse. Well, our germination was horrible. So I do not bleach. I do reuse my trays, but all I do is soap and water. I rinse them out. Usually in the fall they're rinsed out when I put them in the ground. Wash them with soap and water, rinse them, let them dry, use them. Save on it. I forgot how much it is now. I bought a bunch last year, and they're expensive. So save yourself some money, reuse them. Be careful with them, and use them, reuse them. So I'll bring you back when I get them all planted, and then tomorrow, if things work well, I will do the pansies, maybe even some impatiens. Peppers I'll do a video on starting my peppers. And this year, hopefully I can show you when I top the peppers. I'll show you when I plant them. All my peppers are going to go where my potatoes have been for probably 6-7 years. I'm going to plant them all in that raised bed. Give that bed a break from potatoes. So hopefully I can show you some of these things. I know many of you have already. In fact, I talked to a young man from Illinois today, and he's already planted his tomatoes. And I said, I'm itching to get my tomatoes planted, but I know it's too early. I don't usually plant until Labor Day weekend or the week after. We're cold here, and like I said, I've got to get the ground's got to be bare. The soil's got to warm up before I put peppers and tomatoes and that stuff in, because I want them to take off running once they go in. So, but we can grow huge tomato plants and lots of tomatoes. This year, my wife has a bunch of things that she wants to do with tomatoes, including making ketchup. So that's going to be fun. I don't know. We'll see how that goes, and maybe I'll video that for somebody who wants to try it. See how she's feeling. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Well, hello. Welcome back, friends. I've got 4 trays of the wave petunias planted. Got those upstairs. Now, one thing that I didn't show you is once you get the seeds in, spray them down good. It helps settle them in. The other thing I think I mentioned in there, usually I fill depending on how damp your soil is. This was quite damp, and I know it had sat outside at one of the big department stores because it still had snow on it. So anyways, that was quite moist. Now, when I go to do my plants here, this stuff is very dry, so I use a lot of water with that. But anyway, spray them down good. It will settle that soil down. And then they're in the greenhouse. They've got the plastic dome over the top of it. Now, I can't remember how long the impatiens usually take. I think it's somewhere around 7 or 10 days. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one tray just to show you how I do the pansies. I'll do multiple trays of this because we use a lot. Now these are the Swiss Giant pansies that I'm using. They do take quite a while to germinate. I think it's like 10 to 20 days germination. I'm going to say in that seed rack, it's going to be right around 10 days. Stuff usually is pretty quick in there. So I've got my seed tray done. I've got it filled. Let me bring it over here so you can see. Filled, just loosely packed. Now these want to be buried 1/8 of an inch. So what I did is I took a pencil and I made little divots in it. Once I put seeds in the whole thing, I'll pack it down. Oftentimes what I'll do is if I got to get another handful of seeds, I'll go and I'll pack down what I did just so I remember. Now, if you happen to do wave petunias like I did, and you've got the variety of colors, mark, like I did a whole tray of pink, a whole tray of the lavender, a whole tray of the purple. I wanted to do the yellow. I didn't have enough seed to do that. So I'm hoping I can get some tomorrow, and I'll do that tray because I love those colors in those baskets. They're just beautiful. So I'll show you what I do with these. It's so simple. Like I said, I've already made my divot. So what I'm going to do is drop one in each hole. And again, these guys are pretty small too. I don't know if that's focusing good, but these seeds are pretty small. Like I said, when you get older, your fingers don't work quite as well as they used to. That and my light is not real good here either. So I'll drop one seed, hopefully one seed in each hole. Usually pansies grow real well in that seed rack. So I'll drop one in each hole, and then I'll pack it down. There's a hole in that one. Now these we'll use in some baskets. We'll also use them some border. There's a lot of pansies. Now, there's been some years that, I don't know if it's the birds that have moved those seeds around, but or maybe just the wind has blown them around. There's been a few years that I've had them grow on my front lawn. Of course, they get mowed, but early spring, you see I call them smiling faces. Pansies are just something that makes me smile when I see them. They're pretty. So I'm not going to bore you with all that I'm doing here. You know, just pat them down. You know, once you got them all in there, pat them down good. Like I said, the seed wants to be about 1/8 of an inch down. And I'll do the same with this tray. I'll fill it about half full of water. I will spray the top. And that's the only time that I spray my tops, is the top of the trays, is when I first plant. Just to help settle stuff down, get the top layer, because that's where the seeds are, get the top layer. But after that, the roots should start taking hold, and where you've got the water in the bottom, It should act just like a wick. And draw it. Now you want to keep these guys moist, especially as they're taking off. You don't want it soaking wet, but you want it moist. And like I said, these take quite a while to germinate. So friends, hope somebody might have been inspired to do some planting of flowers. Flowers, just, I guess, so many comments on our front yard with the colors, placements of different things. Of course, when the irises come up in that center garden, everybody just loves that because I've got quite a variety of different ones. In fact, I got to thin that out too this year. Maybe I'll show you when I do that. And that's a time that often I will give them to neighbors, oh, I'd love to have those in my yard. And I'll dig them up, and oftentimes I'll dig them up in the spring when I thin them out a little bit, even before they bloom, and they'll plant them. They might get some flowers that year, but usually it's the next year that they get the flowers. But I just love sharing what I have. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to plant my peppers tomorrow. I'm going to plant a lot of peppers this year. I'm going to do some in the peat pots. I'm going to do some in soil like this, using the Jiffy Mix. So if I do that, I'll show you how I do both different types. You've seen them before, but somebody might not get to my older videos a 3 years ago. So I'll do another one on that. And in the next few days, I might show you some of the rabbits that we still have for sale. I've sold quite a few. In fact, I've got a couple that are going to be buying a Rex doe and a Rex buck here in the next few days. Had a beautiful, beautiful chocolate Rex boy that went day before yesterday. And, I hope the lady that got that, he was such a sweetheart. And so isn't the gray. It's more of a lavender boy that I've got left. He will probably go in the next few days. So for those that have followed along, it would be Mandy's, out of Mandy's litter from last June. Her babies are always sweet, super sweet. So friends, I'm going to really try to do my seeding. When I do my seeding, I'll try to video them and just help those that are maybe first timers. Show you how easy it is. Show you how I care for them. One of the big things, just make sure they're moist. You don't want it soaking wet. What I'll do is I'll lift. Usually I get these broken into 6 trays, but I'll lift it up a little bit. You can't see. I'll lift that tray up a little bit. Usually I've got gallon water containers that were on town water. So usually the containers are sat underneath the seed rack for 2 or 3 days just to get that chlorine, whatever, all that stuff evaporated out of there. Plus the water's warmer, so it's not a shock for the plants. Yeah. So usually about every other day when they're young like this, actually you could probably go 3-4 days, but you don't want the top to dry out. That's the main thing. Don't let the tops dry out. Now, once they get going, they're going to be pulling a lot of water up. Those plants need to drink. But I'll try to do updates off and on with the flowers, with the peppers. Like I said, it's going to be a while before I put the tomatoes in. I do have some other plants that I'm going to be putting in, flower plants. And some are going to be new to me this year. So I hope this might have inspired somebody. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all your support. God bless you.